There are some books that are worth reading, listening, or whatever type of consuming them you do. Today we're going to talk about this kind of a book. It is totally worth reading if you're going to grow rich. Yeah, I think you guessed the book. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I would say it's an epic book. Let's dive into something that impressed me most and some of the most useful techniques that he advises you to do in order to acquire riches. Hello, beautiful people. Pekka and me, Tatiana, are welcoming you on our YouTube channel, Pipo Living, where we talk about personal finance and self-development. If you're interested in these topics, we are hoping you are joining us on our journey so that we could reach it faster together. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I've been listening to this book when I was walking outside with my baby sleeping in a stroller, and I felt constant urge to stop and write down, as most of the words and ideas in this book are timeless. Of course, I didn't write down everything, that would be worthless. You better go and read or listen to this book yourself. And I won't be anywhere near in describing these rather complicated thoughts and ideas myself. In this video, I just want to share with you what ideas impressed me most and what are the most valuable steps that you can do in order to acquire riches. The choice is yours. You can either implement all the ideas immediately, or you can go deeper and read and listen to this book again and again on your own. And if you wish to do so, the links will be in the description of this video. Anyway, I hope you will find this video helpful and somewhat inspiring. Napoleon Hill describes 13 basic steps that you need to take in order to acquire the riches you desire. These 13 steps are: desire, faith, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized knowledge, decision-making, persistence, the mastermind power, sex transmutation, the subconscious mind, the brain, and the sixth sense. The author goes really deep in all of those aspects. Some of them are very rational and straightforward, and some of them go into the realm of philosophy and somewhat abstract. But anyways, it is really beneficial if you go through these steps and try to understand what the author wanted to say with that. We will now go and discover some of the most important and impactful things described in the book. So, where do we start? It all starts with the desire. The desire of you gaining riches, whatever it can be money, some possessions, or anything you can desire of, all should be really strong. Your desire should be burning desire. The key is that with the help of your imagination, you should be able to imagine all these riches in your hands, like you already possess it. And if you're still not there, or in any ways, this is an important and very useful exercise. Napoleon Hill gives you the following steps that you need to follow in order to prepare your mind for the riches, in order to make this desire really burning and going really deep into your mind. So in order to transform your desire into riches, you need to follow the steps. Number 1, imagine the concrete number, the amount of riches that you want to possess. It is critical. It should be finite. You should know the exact number. This is important. Step number 2, you need to understand and to determine what exactly you will give in return of this money. Nothing comes for free in this world. You need to put in your work, your time, your energy. And you need to write down the concrete steps that you will do, the concrete actions that you will do in order to acquire these riches. Step number 3, you need to determine the exact date that you will possess all these riches that you desire of. Step number 4, you need to determine the exact plan that you need to carry out in order to transform your desire into riches, and follow this plan exactly whether you're ready for it or not. Step number 5, you need to write down everything described in the steps 1 through 4. Step number 6, read everything you've just written down aloud twice daily, before going to bed and when waking up in the morning. And imagine yourself already possessing these riches. And even if you still are not believing in you possessing these riches, doing this regularly and putting an effort will convince your subconscious mind that you can do it, that you can really achieve what you want. And this actually works not even for possessing riches, but for reaching any of the goals you want to achieve. And you're welcome. The story of Napoleon Hill's son Blair. He was born without ears. Like at all. He didn't have any ears, any signs of ears, and he even didn't have these holes that go from the skull to the brain. And it was not in the 21st century, as you can imagine. This book was written 100 years ago. But the author, his father, refused to believe that his child can't hear and speak as all the other kids can do and people can do around them. Napoleon found out the way to instill the belief and confidence in his son's mind. He found out some particular way how to communicate with him, like he needed to do special modifications to speak to his bones. But the main idea is that he refused to believe he was handicapped, and he instilled in his son that he was totally normal, that he could study with all the other kids, and he instilled in him that this handicap is actually his benefit, that he will get special attention from the teachers, that he will actually have benefit over other kids. He also told that when the kid was old enough, he wanted to sell newspaper, as for example his older brother did. His mother didn't allow him to do that, but he was so resourceful and believed in himself so much that he managed to do that anyways. He ran away, borrowed some money to buy these newspapers. He sold all the newspapers several times during that day. He got a lot of profit out of that, returned the borrowed money, and happily slept with money in his hands. When his mother saw that, she was crying, but the author, the father who instilled this resourcefulness and belief in himself, he was really proud of his son. That was something that you can't buy in a shop. This is something that you either possess or not. And if you possess this resourcefulness that you will do and survive and flourish no matter what, this is one of the best qualities you can instill in yourself and your kids in order to be successful. So his son finished the school, went to university. He was smart and curious, and once he was sent a trial to try an hearing aid from some company. He tried similar before, so he didn't pay much attention to it, but decided to give it a shot, and it worked. And all of a sudden, all his world changed. He could hear like all the normal kids, all the people around him. He was so happy, so fascinated. So he went to this factory, told those who produce this hearing aid, and eventually he started working there and promoting this device and working and teaching people to use this device and to hear. So eventually, he became quite a successful man. He never doubted himself. He had a strong belief instilled by his father. Desire is something really important. He wanted to hear, his father wanted him to hear, to be normal, and eventually their desire transformed into reality. Napoleon Hill says, belief plus burning desire makes anything happen. Faith may be induced by affirmations and repeating them to your subconscious mind, and eventually it starts owning it and hence transform it into reality. The author gave an example of the faith as he was talking at a specialist in the criminal world. He said that a man that starts to be in touch with the criminal world more and more starts accepting it more and more, and eventually it accepts it as a reality. Like, how else can it be? If the crime is everywhere, is the criminal world is the way to be, and they become criminals themselves. So it's the faith that rules our actions. It can be used for good and for bad. Faith is the only antidote for failure. This is a good phrase, it's worth writing down. When you're writing down your chief purpose and repeat it again and again, it goes deep into your mind and becomes part of your belief system. This law of autosuggestion can bring you either misery or prosperity, depending on what kind of ideas you put into your mind and repeat constantly. Napoleon Hill also says that specialized knowledge is the fastest way to achieve prosperity, because it is really easy to start earning through specialized knowledge. This is what the modern world demands you of. It was 100 years ago and it still holds now. Napoleon Hill also says that you need to use your imagination in order to have great achievements in your life. He gives numerous examples of inventors and people who achieved a lot in their life and their use of imagination. Don't be afraid to use your imagination. All great things are first an idea. While he insists that organized planning is also needed to achieve your goals and desires. You need to have a very highly organized plan of actions in order to achieve what you want. Put everything into order and follow through. If you're making a decision, you need to stick to it. Those people who hesitate making decisions or don't follow them are not those who succeed. He tells a story of Henry Ford, who insisted that he wanted his engine and his idea about the car work. His employees said that it couldn't be done, but he insisted, he decided that it will be done, and it was done. He became one of the richest persons in the United States of his time, and he gave the world modern cars for personal use. Persistence is also one of the characteristics of successful people. Thomas Edison, as you know, tried 10,000 times before he succeeded with his electricity project. He wanted the light from the bulb to come from electricity. He tried numerous amount of times and he succeeded. Can you imagine if he would try 10 times and then said, it doesn't work? I guess we won't be so happy now. The author also says that in order to achieve your success program, in order to get all the wealth you want to possess and to fulfill your plans, you need to form a mastermind. He actually gives you really specified requirements for this mastermind. You need to meet couple of times a week. You need to be accountable to each other. If you can't do something, you can delegate it to another person. The whole mastermind atmosphere should be friendly. Everyone should benefit. No one can work for free. So you need to think ahead what you will give in return to these people who are part of your mastermind group. If you are trying to carry out a plan to achieve riches and you see that it doesn't work, gather your mastermind group, think again, try another plan, then try another plan until you succeed. Then Napoleon Hill says about sex transmutation. This book is pretty open for any kind of ideas. It's actually pretty mind-blowing if you haven't read it before. He says that sex energy is one of the greatest sources of energy that a human can possess. And those who can harness energy transmute this sexual energy into intellectual energy, into the energy to progress with your achievements and reaching your dreams, those people succeed and progress a lot and are really successful people. Also, he says that highly sexed people are those who are very attractive in all the fields of social communications to other people. Highly sexed people are better sellers because when a person is highly sexed, he's a magnet for others. He's like that charming boy or girl that everyone wants to talk to, and it is very comfortable and exciting to deal with them, so they're more successful. Napoleon Hill said that while you can't directly control your subconscious mind, you can train your subconscious mind to accept some idea if you repeat it constantly and also color it with emotions. Emotions is what your subconscious mind sees and accepts the best. A brain, Napoleon Hill believed that some thoughts of high vibrations could be transmitted from one mind directly to another mind. This is quite an abstract concept for me, but I think that's something that Elon Musk is working on right now. He's trying to do this with the help of some chips, but he's really fast in his ideas and implementing them, so we'll see how it goes. The sixth sense for Napoleon Hill was something that a person can develop himself. This is a kind of combinations of a spiritual and mental. Having this part of yourself highly developed, you will be able to protect yourself against some sudden danger, maybe some catastrophic event. You will sense it and avoid. Could be right. There is some evidence that some people refuse to fly on some airplanes that are then crashing, or some other evidences of them using their sixth sense. Also, one of the most interesting parts, from my point at least, in this book was when Napoleon Hill described the basic fears that all of us have and that protect us from succeeding. The good thing, he also has the description on how to avoid them. So he thinks we have 6 basic fears that don't let us succeed. First one is the fear of death. In order not to have it, you need to mentally decide that you're accepting it as a fact. Just accept it, it will happen anyway, and it won't have influence over your deeds. Fear of poverty. In order to get rid of that, you need to decide to accept whatever amount of wealth you will accumulate and be okay with that. The fear of criticism. This is well known nowadays. In order not to have it, you need to decide that you don't accept, don't believe in what other people think or say in terms of you. Fear of old age. Napoleon Hill says that people shouldn't be afraid of that. In fact, most of the achievements and progress are actually made in this golden age, when wisdom comes and you have more self-control. The fear of illness. Napoleon Hill recommends that just not to focus on your symptoms in order to not to sink in worries. Fear of not being loved. This is an interesting one. Not to have this kind of fear, you just need to marry the idea that even without love, you can carry on just fine if necessary. Napoleon Hill actually has lots of really useful and practical advice for you, and this advice is really well-rounded and on a big variety of topics. For example, he says how you can find a job, how to behave in order to go to employer and get the job, how to market yourself and your work. Also gives you a self-confidence formula with the particular steps that you need to do. Then write them down, sign and implement. So if you have problems or you have to know more about these fears, then go ahead and read the book. So what do you think? Is it worth reading or listening? From my point, it definitely does. And if you agree, the links to the book and audiobook are in the description. Go ahead and read and listen to it. Hope this video was helpful. If you know someone who can benefit from it as well, send them a link, hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next video. See you, love you, bye! Mwah. Test.